Jaimee Rogers is back in the chair, joins us. Good morning again, Jaimee.
Good morning, guys.
How are you, Jaimee?
I am going well. How are you two doing?
We're going quite well.
Bit
You
of
know what I
fun.
love about Dave? He's been in the chair, 4 days? And he was bagging Gal about, Gal knows everything about horse racing now. Right? So now that Dave's in charge of this program, just before the 8 o'clock news, he throws to the break and we walk out and he says to Nick, the producer, well, I got that right. 78-40. I got out. It was a critical out. And I said, you're too good, Stanley. Now you're starting to sound like a
That's a G.
DJ.
A DJ.
That's a G.
A critical out.
Burning questions. I actually like the burning questions.
So are you going to participate?
I will. Well, I think
It's
it's
just
more Laurie.
you can't be wrong with your opinion. It's an opinion.
Yeah.
So you're not wrong with an opinion. So people listening want to know your thoughts as
Have a
much as they
crack.
want to know Laurie's.
How did those tips go yesterday? Geelong.
But we're not tipping,
Brad
so
Taylor. Oh.
we're safe, okay?
What about this one? Before you start,
Yeah.
hey, boys, any dud tips today? Dave, you couldn't pick a winner out of Laurie's big snoz. Luke from North Rothbury.
Jeez.
Jeez.
On your
It's a
Luke.
bit
Sorry,
harsh. It's
Lukey,
funny.
boy.
I love the
I'll
listeners.
give you a tip today, Luke, before the end of the program if you want. Double up, son. Double up.
All right, well, let's get into these burning questions. And Valentine Holmes, we know, is now set to return back to the NRL on this potential $1 million a year contract at the Cowboys. He's just got to finish that season with the Jets, which is potentially in December, because I don't think the Jets are going to make the playoffs. The big question is Valentine Holmes returning to rugby league. We saw Jared Hayne, he wasn't brilliant on returning because their bodies have changed.
Yep.
So, Laurie, in your opinion, do you think he will be the same dominant player that he was before he left?
I think he can be. I think it'll take time.
Yeah.
He's got two things on his side. One, he's only had 12 months out of the game, and he is only 24 years of age, so he's still relatively young. But it will take him time to change his body shape and get the conditioning right back into his body. He's talented. He's not the most skillful player in terms of catch, pass, and all those things you're looking at and identifying numbers going down short sides that some fullbacks have got. But Valentine Holmes, as a runner, I think he can return to the form that he displayed with the Sharks before he left. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether he's $1 million player, but I think he's a very, very good player.
Yeah. I think, as a punter, that he will come back and just be enormous for them. I think they need him. He'll be a hero up there. And I think this was the plan all along. I really do. I know that's probably another question, but, he went and tried it. But I think that probably around that time when he was on that international, because remember he tried to get in and they sort of gave him the international spot over there. And I think, right from that moment he was gone. Righto, take me back to town.
What's next? Well, still on rugby league, and I got really excited when I read this story about a New York rugby league team is to play in England and is set to be approved by Christmas. Now, it's going to be a whole new world of rugby league and a game changer for, in particular, off-contract Australian players. And according to the New York rugby chief executive, the amount of players that have reached out to him, he has said, is ridiculous. So what do you think about this New York team and what it's going to do to rugby league?
I think it's great for the game of rugby league if we can get a team over in America established and be a part of the English Super League in 3 years' time. That's themselves have set that target. We're never going to gain great traction in the US, but you only need a small percentage of the market to make it work. One thing I do know about Americans is when they see our sport, they fall in love with it, and they can't believe we play without the padding and we play without the helmets. So I think it is great that we've got a team out of there, and if it works, I think it will be great for international rugby league because I think then you'll be able to take games over there. You start to get more people over there in America wanting it, and then it just increases to the value of your broadcasting rights deals, and it generates more money and gives the game more income.
Well, mate, look, Ricky Wilby, you're always welcome to come on this program, and if you need a couple of people to come over and maybe set up broadcast it all at New York, we can, see the sights and sounds.
Send Jono over to call the game.
Jono will be calling it.
He's calling his first international.
Jeez.
Soon. India versus
the Latin heat.
The Latin heat.
But I think it's enormous. I love rugby league. More rugby league. How good.
All right, let's swap now to tennis.
Why do we have to talk about this bloke?
Yeah, so I found this an interesting decision that Nick Kyrgios is going to be returning to the Davis Cup. It's the first time we've seen him since February last year. Yeah. He's been brought back in by Leighton Hewitt. And the question I have, is this a bad look to Australia to have him play in the Davis Cup when he's currently serving a 6-month probation period for that meltdown in Cincinnati? And I know that the suspension is regarding to ATP and not Davis Cup, so we're not doing anything wrong. But does it just look bad that we're bringing in a player who is currently suspended and not allowed on the ATP? And instead, should we have not rewarded another player like Alexei Popyrin or gone down that path?
Well, the rules allow him to come back and play, so I'm happy with that. I fall in and out of love with Nick Kyrgios.
I think we all do.
I think at times you're off him for life, and then you're only off him and put him in the sin bin, and then you bring him back. Look, he's frustrating to watch because you see that potential in him, and you just want to get him and say, mate, you're going to look back in 20 years' time and see what a waste of talent you have been. And he needs some strong people around him to tell him that, but I think he will not listen. But if Leighton thinks he can get the best out in him and he thinks he can win the Davis Cup with him, I'm happy for him to give him a chance.
It's like I'm asking a question in burning questions, but is it more about the brand now of Nick Kyrgios and not about the performance? In terms of, if he was just a lovely bloke and we all loved him, but he had the same performances where he looked like he was going to win and then he didn't win, would he just sort of fall off the radar? But because he plays that whole brand and carries on and everything and is sort of bad boy and goes out with all the Russian tennis players and all this sort of stuff, we all go, oh, Nick, what, is he just...
What, you're not happy for him?
No, I'm happy for him. No, but what I'm just saying is it just about the brand now? And does he just G it up? I mean, I can't cop that spitting on people, and that's just horrific.
No, and calling the ATP corrupt.
And the abuse and all that is way out of line.
But is that the brand, though? Is that his brand? So is he just thought, well, if I'm just a really nice bloke and I have these performances and seem to not be able to win games, but being a nice bloke, does he just fall off the radar and we go, oh, well, he's just not as good as we thought he was? Yeah. But because he's a brat and has this bad boy look, we all just want to keep, oh, Nick.
Well, it fuels us. Yeah. It gives us something to talk about. Whereas if you've got, as you mentioned, the tennis player that's playing, he's not winning so many games, nice person. He's not getting much of a airspace, and not a lot of people are talking about him. But he's a human headline, Nick Kyrgios, wherever he goes, and people would say that he's good for the game.
Now, you've got to go to Josh Hazelwood next. So just really quickly, boys, I want your bold prediction of NBA winner and MVP.
I'm going to go the Greek goddess.
I'm going Borky special.
Yeah, I'll just go.
$51. I think everyone out there has
51.
all been talking about Borky special. So I think we'll all be getting
Philly,
on after we finish work.
He's got a big special, Borky.
$51.